What's your favorite scary movie?
If you'll come with me, you'll float too.
I really don't know what's wrong with me. I would say what's wrong with us, but I can't say that because Marvelous really wanted to watch this movie. I'm the one that kind of held back on it just because I wanted to go watch Backrooms first, but we are here. You read the title. We're talking about Obsession. Probably one of my favorite horror movies that I've seen in a minute. And we've been saying that a lot. We've had a good streak of horror movies this year, but this movie is right up there. I'm talking Midsommar. I'm talking Hereditary. It has left its mark in my brain. I haven't watched a movie to where I've just walked out of the theater, just wanted to do a whole discussion on it. I was looking up stuff on the wiki, watching interviews with the director and so on and so forth. But we are here with Obsession, and I'm joined as always by my lovely co-host, Marvelous.
Hey.
I wasn't even going to try and do some fancy intro. I'm just hyped for this movie. And we just saw this. Obviously, it's not out yet to buy, so we're going to just go off of hype on this. We don't have a full structure for this episode just because we've only seen it once. But I feel like just once was enough to get us in our heads, man. How many jokes have I made just because you and I have said something funny and I'm like, Obsession, oh no.
First of all, you're welcome.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
My sister actually ended up watching the movie before the hype really hit social media. I want to say roughly about a month ago. And she told me about it earlier.
Yeah,
and I even told you hey, my sister doesn't necessarily preach about good thriller horror, psychological horror films all that much. So this has to be a good movie. Then
a lot of your friends saw it too before us, and we're the ones with the freaking horror podcast.
Then a lot of my friends started watching it, and they're just like, "Wait, have you seen it? Have you seen it? I really want to sit there and talk to you about it. Have you seen it?" And I was counting down the days for me to find a way to drag you to go watch the film. You even told me at one point, just like how you mentioned earlier in the episode, that you don't plan on watching the movie. At least it's not a priority for you. And I made it a priority for us.
Yeah, I was like, I'll wait for streaming. I'll do Backrooms first. I'm more interested in that.
Everybody told me we had to watch it in theaters. Everybody told me we had to experience it in theaters while it was out. And I actually got tickets for me to watch it by myself earlier than you and I went to go see it together. But I think something came up. However, this whole year has been really busy and things have been coming up regardless, which is why we've been a little slower on watching the movies that are catching a lot of good traction and good heat. But it's definitely a really good movie, and it's definitely a head scratcher. And I haven't seen you react this way to a horror movie in a long time, and I haven't really sat back to think about a horror movie like this in a while, I want to say.
I think your friend Ashley, a good friend of ours, had said that when I watched this immediately outside of the theater, movie's done, I'm talking about it. It was one of those.
Yeah.
And my friend BG had also told me that it's not it's groundbreaking scary, but it's uncomfortable. It's going to make you feel a certain way. And he was right, because I can't show you guys visually, but in the theater when Marvin and I were sitting, I was just kind of I had my hand over on her leg and I'm pounding her leg with my fist just because something is happening on screen that is genuinely making me uncomfortable. I wear a lot of hats, so I was covering my eyes a lot of the times with my hat. Not because I was scared, but just because of just how cringy, but in a good way, some of these scenes were. And it really plays into the favor of the actress, Indy. She is phenomenal. I mean, she killed this.
Yeah.
I think she's only been, in Superman and Lois and maybe 13 Reasons Why, unless I'm getting her mixed up. So not that many acting roles. She's going to be in a lot of shit after this, because
she deserves an Oscar. For sure.
This was crazy.
This was an insane performance. And I'm not going to lie, actually, circling back to our friends talking about this movie, Ashley told me straight up after watching the film that she went and saw with her friend, right? Her and her friend left the movie theater, ended up having a conversation in the parking lot with a bunch of strangers about the movie altogether. So
This will do that. This is one of those movies. Yeah.
Yeah. So this movie is definitely a head scratcher. It'll make you think like there's layers upon layers. And yeah, I guess you could make it fall under the idea of like elevated horror, or that old terminology of like elevated horror, if you will. But at the end of the day, like this movie has caused a lot of people to sit back and almost create a subgenre. And I don't think you know this. I saw this on social media earlier. If you did, or if you do, like, you didn't mention this, but there was an article that I saw where this one reporter was highlighting the fact that recently a lot of movies and a lot of current day horror movies are starting to really hone in on certain practices that society allows for people to do. And one type of, I guess, quote unquote practice in particular is the nice guy gone bad, right? So this is not, they don't have an official term for it, but this kind of movie, because Companion also falls under this type of movie where there's nice guy comes in, he's trying to get a girl. That's like the twist, exactly, and like the girl's not necessarily willing or doesn't have mutual feelings, but the guy is like unreciprocated love, right? Right. And I think the reporter or like the blogger or whatever almost made a side comment of like, you could call it like incel horror, but it's such a huge jab towards the male main character that you definitely don't want to do that. But in one sense or form, it very much highlights the fact that the guy presents himself as a good guy. The guy could even be a good guy for all we know, but he has ulterior motives behind it, and they feel owed the relationship with somebody of the opposite sex that's in their life, even if it's just platonic. Right. And it just keeps building and building and building. But this subgenre of horror takes it into a certain twist where, like TV show You, where you have Joe who becomes completely obsessed and starts committing murder. You have the movie from Companion, the guy who was in The Boys. I don't remember his role or his name in Companion, but he goes from being really sweet to being psychologically and emotionally abusive towards his AI at home in bed partner. Yeah. And then you have this where Bear presents himself as a good guy, seems like a good guy, but he's so selfish and like so self-centered that literally he has Nikki essentially like abandon all of her free will unwillingly to fit the kind of category that he wants her to fill in her life. So I can see how this movie like catapulted so many different conversations, not just between person to person, but online as well. And I'm so excited for it to continue to keep like having that traction and keep going, and for more productions from Curry altogether.
So like I mentioned, we've only seen it once, but Marva and I have both been keeping up with this on social media and watching tons of interviews, tons of short form videos. So right off the bat, for the people who aren't aware, just because I can see why there might be confusion, Obsession and Backrooms were both made by people who have a prominent presence on YouTube. Yeah. But they are different people. I forget the guy's name who did Backrooms, but he actually is the original creator, or at least the original YouTube creator of the idea of the Backrooms, even though the whole copy pasta kind of predates his video. Yeah. He was the first person to put it out there visually. So they did bring the original guy there to direct it. And that was really awesome in its own right. Yeah. Curry Barker, however, though, is just a YouTuber who also made a lot of short films. And what's interesting about this is he was reached out to do, I believe, a short film about reached out to do a movie about his short film called The Chair, but he really didn't want to do that. And he had always had this idea about a movie that dealt with obsession. Somebody being obsessed. Or somebody being obsessed with somebody. Yeah. And there was different factors that led into that, which, you know, he did the script. He had some, I forget, but he had some form of, I guess, there's a word I'm trying to think of. Not homage, but he was able to watch something and get references to be able to create the script. I think it's The Simpsons or something like that.
Oh, sorry. I thought yeah. So he
there's a word for it. I just can't remember the word.
He essentially was
inspiration.
There you go. He was looking for inspiration, and I think he was in the process of writing the script, or had written the script, but it was lacking in something, and stumbled across the Simpsons episode with the monkey paw, and the monkey paw starts granting wishes, but it's not like the best wishes. And it starts granting wishes with a huge twist. And we've all heard that story, right? But what if this is an item, kind of like how Curry mentioned in a couple of his interviews, that is easily accessible and easily marketable and easily attainable, but has such dire consequences that no one really talks about it until it's too late.
And probably one of the biggest things about Curry and about this whole film production is the fact that, yes, even though a big studio did greenlight his script and they loved it, he still didn't have that much credit to his name. So he was only offered a budget of $750,000.
$750,000. That's insane. Yeah.
And he grossed $337 million at the box office. That's
a huge return.
When you think about Scream 7, that did barely $300 million. So not only did his movie beat out Scream 7, and regardless of your opinion on Scream 7, we're talking about a franchise here.
Yeah.
An entire franchise.
Yeah.
He also beat out Scream 6. If you want to bring up the whole, there was controversy with it, sure, but even Scream 6 didn't make as much as Scream 7. So this man changed the game, I feel like. And anybody who's a short film, I'm about to start making some short films. I'm just kidding. But anyways, we've gone on enough about this. Curry Barker's an awesome talent, and it's going to be cool to see what future movies he does. I think we can both agree to that.
You know what? He and the director for Backrooms remind me of the wave that we went through in horror when the director for Hereditary, I forget his name, and Jordan Peele.
Ari Aster.
When Ari Aster and Jordan Peele came into the main line and main front of
they
horror.
had like an unacknowledged feud, kind of.
I can see this happening, history repeating itself, but with these two directors.
Yeah, with both of them taking over the game.
Yeah, because Ari Aster and Jordan Peele were both very small-time directors. They moved forward with small-time production producers and companies and so on and so forth. And then their movies won film festival awards and they got featured on big theaters, and then their movies like hit certain records, and from there they started to direct more and more films. Like the films became more and more complex. So I can definitely see
Kane Parsons is the Backrooms director. His YouTube is Kane Pixels. But yes, Kane Parsons and Curry Barker, I think they're going to be two people to watch out for going forward. They're both really young too. I think Curry's like in his early 20s.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like,
okay.
I'm talking young.
He's a child. Damn.
So
mind you, I'm 30, so I can say that. I might not look it, but I am 30.
So going into this movie, our two main characters, we do have a smaller cast, but the two main characters in this movie are Nikki and Bear, and they're played by Indy Navarrete and Michael Johnston. And both of them stole the show, but specifically Indy, I think her performance as Nikki was incredible. Probably, I hate to say this, and it's funny because they brought it up as inspiration too. I believe he said him and the cast watched the movie. Very reminiscent of Pearl. If not, I would go as far as to say she might have beat Mia Goth on the performance here. I'm just saying, especially because of what she had to do with her body throughout the movie. Because even though Pearl was creepy, she wasn't like she wasn't dealing with some supernatural entity. She was just crazy. We didn't really get to see her play with her body in ways like that, to move across the room or glide and all that. So seeing her do what she did, I feel like was insane, and to be so young as well. But go ahead.
So I get where you're coming from. And I do see the elements of Pearl sprinkled into it, especially that very forced smile, right? But I do feel like Indy definitely hit a benchmark that we didn't know existed. Mia Goth is an astounding actor. She's an astounding performer. She has incredible facial control over her expressions, the way that she presents herself, and so on and so forth. She also can like move and hold her body in certain ways that I haven't really seen a lot of actors do, and like be able to embody roles, and the range that she has is insane. I haven't seen much of Indy's work, but I can say this much. Indy was incredible, and it wasn't just her acting, just like how you said it was like the way that she held herself physically. And I think I actually walked in on you watching an interview of Indy, and they were talking about the bedroom scene, the date scene leading into the bedroom scene. Yeah. And this is a scene that you didn't unfortunately get to see because you got up to leave the theater.
Damn water, man.
But I got to see it. And it was very interesting going from the iconic moment where you have Nikki saying no on a repeated basis in like a very Looney Tune kind of way to an immediate cut to them being at Bear's house. They're in bed. Bear's having the time of his life while they're both in bed. Nikki's making very enthusiastic noises, but you see the true Nikki leaking out because she's stiff as a board in bed. She's not moving. She doesn't necessarily seem too cooperative. However, the vocal cues that she's giving Bear while the two of them are having sex implies that it's somebody who's enjoying themselves. So this is one of the first few times where we see Nikki bleeding out, and in the moment of when the entity is active. Because early in the part, whenever Bear breaks the willow, you see like Nikki almost like teetering back and forth between the two. And you can feel it and you can see it both in the demeanor, the way she's carrying herself, the facial expressions, the fear that she has in her eyes, the way that she says no. But then you have this entity or possession or whatever, like simmer her down for a good portion of the movie, and it leaks out again. And this is, mind you, this is like maybe the second or the third time that we've seen the two of them have sex on screen. But this time around, kind of like what I told you, Curry moved forward and was able to portray essentially an assault scene in a way that was very, and I hate to use this word, not tasteful, but like that digestible, I think is the best way to say it.
Yeah.
Because I can watch people get torn apart left and right, guts flying everywhere, like either that or you have somebody who's like psychologically twisted and like they're making you go through different hoops, or something like this where it's a little bit more creepy and on edge and unsettling. But when you throw assault in there, and especially when the victim is clearly unwilling, I'll shut down. And I could watch through this scene because I understood the gravity of the kind of story that Curry was trying to portray, and not only the kind of like stance that Nikki had in that given moment.
It's funny that you use the word digestible, because even though I think that scene, and this sounds so fucked up to say, is brilliant from what people have said about it, I haven't seen it yet, but anyone who has seen it says that they never want to watch it again. At least that specific scene.
It's very unsettling.
I think even the actress herself, Indy, had said like she's never gonna watch that scene, like because of just how, like you said, unsettling it is. So just even though it is digestible, it's very much still like
you still feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah, this is like an assault scene. Like if you understand the scene, I can see why some people may look at it and just see a sex scene. Yeah, unless it's not explained to them. Yeah, but if you understand the gravity of the scene, like you said, I can see why people wouldn't want to watch that. Yeah. But I will say, before we jump forward a little bit more, we probably should just do a quick breakdown of the movie. Bear is kind of like what you would say is I hate to use the word like you said, but like the incel of the group. He can't talk to
the nice guy, the outsider.
Can't talk to women. He has to have his friend help him, right? Yeah. Stuff like that. And it's a very small friend group that are coworkers that work at a music store. Mm-hmm. And he is infatuated, and he has a huge crush on his best friend, Nikki. And she also... Not
even best friend, just coworker Nikki.
Or coworker Nikki. I will say friend, though, at least. Yeah. But so his close friend, Nikki. And the idea of the film is that he's trying to basically ask her out and or confess his feelings. And he can't do it. And on the night that he wants to do it, he had purchased something called the One Wish
Willow?
Yeah,
the One Wish Willow. I think there was, if I'm not mistaken, now mind you, we went onto a late showing, so it was kind of like in and out and sleep in the very beginning, but I do know something happened to where Nikki ended up giving Bear like a tiger stone, some form of like crystal for him. And I think along the way she had like a necklace that got lost, or like an item that
he went to the store to buy her
that carried a crystal that she genuinely cared about. And I forgot what kind of stone it was. And I'm sure Curry, or maybe who knows, maybe I'm overestimating, like Curry thought about the kind of stone. And usually they say when you lose a gemstone, it means that it's already fulfilled its purpose. So Bear goes to a crystal store, tries looking for like a necklace for Nikki, and comes across the One Wish Willow stick, if you will, that grants a wish.
and he was gonna gift that to her,
Mhm.
but after some time, after hanging out with their friends, they're in the car alone. He gave her a ride home.
Yeah.
And
First time, by the way.
First time, by the way. And when he's giving her a ride home, some awkwardness happens, but ultimately it comes down to a little back and forth of her basically straight up asking him, "Do you like me?" And now is the time to say it. And
Yeah.
he chickens out. He doesn't say it.
And then he drops the bar, freaky Nikki.
Yeah.
And she reacts very poorly towards it.
Actually, he said that before. That's why she asked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what led to her asking if he likes her.
Yeah.
And then after that happens, he's pissed off at himself.
Mm-hmm.
He grabs the One Wish willow, breaks it in half.
There's a creepy ass song that plays right before he breaks it, by the way.
And makes the statement that he wishes Nikki would love him more than anybody else in the fucking world. And you have to make note of that because that's very important. Because this isn't just a regular crush. This isn't just a regular, hey, I want her to like me, or hey, I want the courage to ask her out. No, he wants her to love him more than anybody else in the fucking world. And that pretty much gets the movie going. Mal, I've read a lot of takes and I've seen some videos. I want to get your take. What is your take on the wish? Did it immediately spawn this entity inside of Nikki? Did she gradually create some persona over time? Like, what is your opinion on how this wish was and what it was with her? Because some people have brought up how it seemed like it took a little bit of time for her to become so neurotic about loving him, like how she was able to go in the car with Ian after the first night that she slept over. Like, she was able to break away from him and do other things. But yet, as the movie goes on, it seems like the love gets stronger. Or is that just a misinterpretation of maybe the entity was playing smart and trying to get information on Bear from Ian, as an example? Like, how do you think this wish came to be?
So when Bear breaks the willow, you see Nikki go completely rigid.
Yeah.
And then the camera pans over to the passenger side of Bear only, then pans back over to the driver's side through the window.
Those passenger shots, bro.
And Nikki's right there. She's right there. She's like suddenly from disinterested to inquisitive about Bear, like what he's doing, where he's going next. And kind of how you mentioned, she's still able to disconnect in a way. I feel like it's a blend of the two. So the entity definitely took hold in the very beginning because obviously Nikki went rigid, right? She's intrigued when not even a minute before she seemed completely disinterested and borderline annoyed with the kind of discovery that she made and how Bear was like handling the situation altogether. Because it's the first time the two of them are like genuinely alone.
Right.
But what I will say is, because Nikki was leaking out, like the true Nikki was leaking out in the very beginning on so many occasions and with small interactions, I do feel like she was able to suppress whatever force was in the willow tree branch piece to subside a little bit so her true will comes out. However, over time, obviously, like they always say when you're possessed, especially if it's an entity coming in without you inviting it, you're able to fight it in the beginning. I'm gonna knock on wood and hope that no one ever gets possessed, just in case. But over time, your will kind of like subdues because the entity's constantly winning the battle, and that's why the love becomes even grander and grander and grander to the point that it's like not even toxic, like how his mutuals say. It's like sickening to a degree.
Yeah.
Not towards us, the audience, but like clearly towards Nikki. Because at one point he Bear leaves for work or leaves in general, and Nikki's just standing there in the same spot that she was left in, and literally pisses and shits and like seems to have vomited all over herself until Bear comes home, and she doesn't even clean it up. She just moves and you hear like the squish of everything until she goes into the bathroom to rinse off and wash off, and Bear wants to break away. At this point, like he's clearly saying that things aren't okay with this,
Yeah.
no matter how much he tries to look at it with rose-colored glasses, and is trying to convince Nikki that he needs a boys' night. He doesn't want her around. He needs a boys' night, and she's throwing a tantrum, kind of, but not really, while in the shower. And then eventually one thing leads to another, and she attends the boys' night gathering that's later on in the film. But prior to that, you have other occurrences as well where she seems to be not necessarily professing her love, but like demonstrating her love towards Bear in a way that most sane people wouldn't do.
Yeah. I feel like I don't think it was a gradual thing. I feel like as soon as the wish was made. So I don't think it's a demon. People have thought about whether it was a demon that was possessing.
No.
I don't think it was a demon. I feel like the wish created some supernatural entity that exists to love Bear because, and in the interview with Indy, someone in the comments had made this point, and I actually really agree with it, which is to love something like that, right? To love something more than anything else in the world. You're talking about changing the literal fiber of somebody.
Yeah.
Like we're talking on an atomic
it's atomic.
On an atomic level. Like you're changing the autonomy of this woman to love you that much. That goes against like everything. Like even if you want to argue she actually did like him, right? Because I think there's like there's back and forth on that because funny enough, I don't think I told you this, but BG was the one who let me know that Curry Barker actually shot 2 different takes of the car scene, one where she liked him, one where she didn't like him, and then he mixed the scenes together. So whether or not she liked him or not, and that's what I think what's tragic about it, right? We'll never know.
Yeah.
Because he took that away from her.
Yeah.
And I just feel like to put those feelings on somebody, you're changing somebody to that degree that the wish almost created an entity that could love him that much. And that's what, and we'll just for the sake of this episode, we'll call her Wish Nikki. That created that Wish Nikki, right?
Almost like a split personality disorder, if you will.
And Wish Nikki, I feel like was pretty smart.
Yeah.
And I feel like Wish Nikki, right away, that love was right there. I don't think it gradually grew. I don't think the entity became in love with Bear, like actually loved him. I just feel like it was already there. Just because we see Wish Nikki do a lot of interesting things, like grabbing the One Wish Willow and making a wish itself. Later in the movie, we also see how, again, it got into the car with Ian for whatever reason. Most likely, I'm assuming to either get information on Bear and or to maybe find out what him and Bear were talking about earlier. And funny enough, after that conversation with Ian, that's when it starts to bring up that they were on MDA last night or whatever, Molly. Then so I'm sure Ian put that in its head. So there's a lot of things I feel like this entity was smart.
Yeah.
And this entity was like planning things, but only because it loved Bear so much, because again, that's what the wish was. And at least that's my interpretation on it. I think you said you feel the same, right? You don't think it was like some demon that came from hell or something?
No, I definitely don't think it's a demon. My only disagreement with your theory, or I guess the theory that you're running with, is that like Nikki obviously was bleeding through. So even if the entity was trying to force its will onto Nikki, it was taking some time before it came into full effect. Or just like how the post mentioned, like obviously loving somebody or loving anything that much changes your very fiber. I feel like it's a slow evolution into it. It's not a switch that you can flip. So day one was obviously Wish Nikki gathering all the information that she could to be able to fully seduce Bear in a way to fall into her trap, when in reality, Bear is the one that set the trap.
Yeah, I think the reason why I brought that up was because how Indy had mentioned Curry telling her to think of teleportation when it came to. So I think that's what I more so meant when I was talking about it, how when Nikki bleeds through, she's like almost teleporting back into her body. We don't know where she's going or like what that is.
It's almost like she's in limbo. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like up to your interpretation at that point.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any specifics. I don't think Curry, cared to like go dive that much into it, but it's very much like teleports in, teleports out, which you kind of get that vibe. I think you and I were thinking that because when she pops in, especially like at the party scene, it's very much like, oh shit, like she doesn't know where she's at, what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Like it's very much like she just dropped right in.
She's not a passive rider who's watching things come through. It's almost like a switch is flipped on and off.
Yeah, and then the moments that she does linger on, it's very sad, and you get like the bedroom scene like you brought up, but it is very much like the whole popping in and out just because of like how chaotic things get when she does.
Yeah.
But it makes sense though. Like I think it could probably be feeling like you're drugged. I would think like you just wake up and you're not even knowing what happened. Like you just blacked out, you know?
Yeah. Depending obviously on what you took. The film overall is incredible. Like how you said, it was a very small budgeted film. They did a lot with what they were allowed to record at and go through. I know a decent amount of the film was actually recorded in Southern California.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the restaurant that they were in is a restaurant that's not too far from us, ironically enough. So we can definitely go there and wine and dine if you'd like.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's a little bit south of LA, if I'm not mistaken. But definitely did a good job of using scenery. They didn't necessarily have too many props, which I completely understand. But the movie, or at least the characters physically don't seem to branch off more from Bear's house, the front of Nikki's house, Ian's house, and the music shop that they work at. That's essentially it.
Yeah, it's a very close quarters.
4 or 5, and then the restaurant.
Yeah. Very close quarters film.
Yeah. And it's very straightforward and like streamlined. I think it's like maybe a week and a half of the amount of time that passes from when Bear breaks the willow to when the movie ends. But the buildup is insane because it's not just Bear who notices that, hey, wish Nikki isn't normal. It's Ian who's noticing it. It's Bear's best friend, the girl who's going off to tattoo school. She also notices that things are a little different. And post Nikki finding a way to weasel herself into the whole boys' night, which turns out to really not be a boys' night, you come to find out that Bear's best friend, the girl going to tattoo school, actually had feelings for him. And she keeps on conveying to Bear that Nikki never had feelings for you. Now, whether that's true or not, we don't know. Because like how you said, Curry had two versions of Nikki reacting to Bear's quasi confessing his love to her. But the best friend was very, very committed on trying to get Bear to realize that Nikki will not move forward with him no matter what, that she was actually fucking Ian because of just needs and release, and that's it.
It's funny because I've seen some people say that the friends suck.
In a way.
And in a way they do, but I hate to say this. It's very reminiscent of real life too.
It's teenager. You're teens. You're literally teens. It's your junior year, senior year. Me, junior year, senior year, I very much was on the mindset of I'm not seeing these motherfuckers ever again. So it doesn't fucking matter how I treat them, and it's fine.
Well, I think they're in the mid-20s, but I get you. That is very much the mentality, like you said. And I don't know, I just feel like the decisions that were made feel very much like real people decisions.
Yeah.
I feel like Sarah telling Bear about Ian and Nikki is something someone would.
That's the best friend that I was talking about earlier. Somebody
would really do that.
Yeah.
I feel like Ian pretending to be cool with Bear going out with Nikki, which he was.
Yeah, because they were never really official from what we know, from what Sarah shared.
But still also hiding the fact that he was
fucking
smashing her every chance he got. That's something that somebody would really do. In fact, I know that's happened before in my life with somebody.
Yeah. So with me on multiple occasions.
So I just feel like that is very much something that happens in real life. So yes, these people may be assholes and pricks and they could have done more. They should have done more. They should have said more. At the end of the day, I just feel like that's very reminiscent of real life. That's why I thought that's what made this movie so unique to me, was because the decisions were very much real. And then you have Bear, who at the end of the day, yes, he may be a nice guy. Yes, he may be the type of guy who will hold the door open for somebody. Yes, he may be the type of guy who would spend all his money in his savings for somebody.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean someone's love is owed to him.
Never.
And not everybody understands that. And I think that's why this movie is so awesome. Because there's a lot of underlining themes in this movie.
There's a lot of layers.
A lot of layers. A lot of things you can pinpoint and say that's what the theme of this movie is, when in reality it's a mix.
Mm-hmm.
And Bear, around the halfway point in this movie, becomes the villain. Once he realizes what's happening, but chooses not to help Nikki and just further the relationship.
Yeah.
That's when he's the villain. At that point, he is a piece of shit. And at that point, you're not supposed to root for him.
Not at all. He's definitely riding the high. He's definitely like enjoying it more than what he should. And I think the scene at the restaurant kind of like put a bit of a wake-up call in his head that, hey, maybe this isn't right. But obviously the bedroom seemed unraveled and he felt more reassured. And slowly after, that's whenever we see him end up at the music store again. He's working and it's just him and Ian this time. And this is when Ian is inviting him over to a party but doesn't want Nikki around. And Ian's also dropping the bar that people within their circle are getting really concerned that Nikki seems to be going through a really hard time and that Bear is just taking advantage of the situation because Nikki wouldn't react to Bear the way that she is. And
which that's a nice callback to the fact that Ian was smashing her too.
Yeah.
He would know how she.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like pretty. There's a lot of hints to like a lot of these people's like decisions and comments, you know, and I like that a lot.
And I think like Bear's just kind of like, wait, what? Like, no, like she's fine. We're together. We're okay. Definitely trying to convey that this relationship is normal and clearly it's not. And come whenever he drops the bar to Nikki that, hey, you know what? I'm just going to leave. It's just going to be me. I'm going to leave you behind after, you know, she clearly was physically ill from being left at the house for Bear to just go and work his regular shift. When she shows up, she seems to be socializing again and things are going okay. Turns out that Sarah was the one that actually invited her over. I'm going to go ahead and throw it into the mix that Sarah probably had some sort of agenda and hoping that Nikki would crash the fuck out. So this way she can pull Bear off to the side and profess her love the way that she did later on that same fucking night at 3 a.m. But it was insane. It was insane because afterwards, Nikki had the crash out at the party.
It's wild that Sarah watched Nikki stab herself or hit her head with the fucking bottle, but yet thought it was okay to text Nikki's boyfriend at 3 a.m, come to the park.
Yeah. She's like, we just need to talk. And funny enough, the reason why Nikki ended up hitting herself with the bottle is because at one point the group decided to play a game and it was truth or dare or spin the bottle or some like game to where
it's an actual game. It's like you pick up, it's a drinking game. You pick up the square and like you read
what it says. And I think this one said like kiss the person to your left and the person to Bear's left was Sarah and Nikki was sitting right across from Bear. And you see Indy, or I guess Wish Nikki, make a face of pure like not even sadness, a frown, a genuine frown that you would see on a yellow smiley face. Just the smile turned completely upside down. And she grabs the bottle, bashes her head in, and they have to go home. Sarah then messages Bear at 3 a.m, says, hey, you up? Can we meet up? Can we talk?
She did not want to text him either. She wanted him to show up.
Yeah. He tried getting it through text. That definitely didn't happen. He found his way to weasel out of Nikki's arms when I knew she woke up whenever she said whatever she said in bed right before he left. But I think the Wish Nikki was definitely playing it smart. And
well, you forget that's actually a pivotal moment. That's one of the moments in the film that Curry says represents that he actually is the villain. The first one would be the bedroom scene. The second one is when he leaves to go talk to Sarah because real Nikki pops out and says, it's asleep.
Kill me.
Like, be quiet. And then she says, kill me. Please kill me, Bear. And then he says, you'd rather die than me. You'd rather die than be with me. And he's actually offended by that.
Yeah.
Like, he gets mad about that.
Yeah.
And her response is, I've never really been with you, Bear.
Yeah.
At that moment, that's when you
truly realize that
Because he
he's
does
not a good person.
he's not caring for her as a friend at that point. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
not even as a lover, just as a friend.
Yeah, and then he still goes on to Sarah to swing that whole her dad has cancer bullshit instead of being a friend and trying to let Sarah know what's happening. Like,
Yeah.
he's not looking out for Nikki at that point anymore.
Yeah, the way that, and I forgot about that scene. I apologize for kind of glazing over that, but what's crazy about that scene is Nikki's laying there in bed, like how you said, and she's still as rock, but you can almost attribute the way that she was talking like as if she was stuck in sleep paralysis.
Yes.
I think that's the best way to kind of say it. Because she wasn't moving. Her chest was barely shaking with her breaths. And the way that she was talking was like asleep, but not fully asleep, awake, but not fully awake. And then her voice was shaking the entire time. Like, Bear, please, like, just end it. Just kill me. It's asleep. Don't wake it up. Don't wake it up. Just kill me now while you can.
Unless Indy is that phenomenal of an actress that has that insane body movement, I would have to imagine they must have shot two different scenes. One where she's talking and one where she's laying as still as a board and then masked out like her head and put it on the body of the still, because her body was, it didn't even look like she was breathing, bro.
That's why I said
like that's how
she was stuck in
still
sleep
she
paralysis.
was. Like,
Yeah.
it was actually insane.
I mean, if you take shallow enough breaths, you can make your voice sound like that. I can do that later whenever we're off air if you want, but
Don't scare me, please. I don't need any nightmare fuel.
But yeah, I guess that's where Bear breaks off and he meets up with Sarah at the park in the car, and Sarah has gotten a letter. They're trying to figure out if she got accepted to the school that she wanted to go to. And
Curry finally got me too. I was waiting for somebody to do the jump scare at the passenger window or the driver's seat window, because there's so many shots of them in the car, which is funny. It makes sense because the budget is kind of small.
So small.
But there's so many shots of them in the car that I was counting down that we were gonna get a jump scare on somebody's side, like similar to Weapons, if you've seen Weapons as an example, or anything like that.
yeah.
And it never happened until this moment, and they fucking got me.
I'm surprised that I felt you jump, which I thought was like pretty surprising. But I was just uncomfortable the entire movie, so I was just waiting to pop off, like for things to pop off left and right. I will say this much though: what caught me by surprise was the brutality of Sarah's kill in a way.
Yeah.
Because you have Sarah who's trying to convince Bear that she has had feelings for him for years, that now is the time to move forward. He needs to dump Nikki. Like, Nikki isn't worth his time. She never really cared about him. Like, again, reiterating on this stuff. Nikki shows up out of the blue. First of all, I don't even know how the fuck she got this piece of brick or cinder block or whatever the fuck, but she breaks through the fucking driver door window, puts the brick on the steering wheel, grabs her hair and bashes her head in onto the brick on multiple occasions, not moving the brick, Sarah's head on multiple occasions to the point that she's dead.
Yeah.
Mind you, Sarah still hadn't opened the letter. Bear then opens the letter on her behalf and realizes that fuck, she got accepted. And now, mind you, he's about to have a breakdown because his best friend's dead.
He is having a breakdown in the car. He's screaming his lungs off.
Yeah. So then I think that's whenever he realizes that this shit ain't good. This shit ain't it. And he is trying to figure out a way to undo whatever it is the One Wish Willow did.
Yeah.
I think he calls a number, and then when he calls a number,
That was earlier in the movie.
Oh,
He goes to
the same shop.
Yeah, he goes to the shop, and that's where he meets that guy. It's kind of funny how in this universe there just seems to be a few amount of people that know about this and that it works, and they've made wishes. It's kind of hilarious.
This is the first time.
It makes me wonder if Nikki can find those people. Will she get off of scot-free from killing them?
I have no idea. But I do know one thing that's really fucking interesting. Once you make a wish on the willow, that's your one wish. You get no more wishes. One person gets one wish. That is all.
Yeah.
So if you fuck it up like Bear did, you've fucked it up. I guess somehow, some way, he ends up getting another willow.
He buys a few of them actually, and then
tries breaking one.
Doesn't work.
Fails. Goes to Ian, tells him to break one. Ian thinks he's off his fucking rockers and just breaks it by saying, "Hey, I wish for $1 million."
He got $1 million.
But no, not million,
no,
billion. And it's falling from the sky.
With the B.
And it's falling from his roof from the sky. First of all, that's comedic as fuck. I wanted to laugh so hard in the movie.
This movie has really good comedic timing.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of Midsommar, because Midsommar also has, maybe not towards the end, but in the beginning, it has really good comedic timing.
Yeah, and it's not the like comedy like ha ha ha. It's more of like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah, like how does this even happen?
Yeah, how is this real? And you're sitting there like quasi amused and you want to chuckle, but at the same time, things are moving so quickly and there's so many different pieces that are so intricately woven that you're not broken away from the story. It's very tasteful. I think is the best way to say it. But this is where Bears is starting to like fucking spiral, and Ian wasted his looks and now he has no means to fix this, and he ends up going back home and Wish Nikki's just balls to the wall is fucking crazy at this point still.
She mutilated Sarah's body even more. So
she drags Sarah's bodies in, mutilated a little bit more. Ian walks in and Ian gets blasted in the face. And
there's a fun little joke about that. Indy was actually streaming to support herself after the CW show she was on. I think Superman and then Lois. For those who don't know, TV shows do not pay that much unless you're like some big actor.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Nowadays it's pretty bad. But she was streaming to cover rent, and one of the games she always played, Indy was playing COD. And she was really good at it.
Nice.
So all the comments were like, no wonder why Ian got scoped out so quick.
Yeah.
Like a straight headshot.
Yeah.
Over.
Because I don't know how she got a gun, but she got a gun and she ended up shooting Ian, and then Bear's in the mix and he's starting to have a breakdown, and then he remembers what the guy over the phone told him, which is he needs to die or somebody needs to make a wish that supersedes his own. Ian is the only person that he was willing enough to open up about this kind of shit with. So now he needs to die, and he locks himself in the bathroom and grabs the gun, tries to shoot himself in the head, fails tremendously, actually starts having a breakdown because of it, which I think is like fucking sissy shit in a way, not gonna lie. I mean, I don't like Bear at this point, so I just think he's a piece of shit.
I mean, not just that, but he takes the pills, the same pills, by the way, that killed his cat Candy.
Yeah.
Sandy, which by the way,
yo, Nikki using Sandy's fucking meat.
Yes, but on top of all of that, people like to bring up her doing the whole like, I guess memorial for her, right? For Sandy, and Bear, and how she dug Sandy out of the trash. This motherfucker threw his cat away in the trash, not even a proper burial, and the motherfucker has a backyard too. Like, there's little hints that this dude is not
the best. No. He walks in, cat's dead. This is around the time.
Child-proof pills, which means he left them there on the table. Yeah, open. Yeah. So
cat ate it. Cat's dead. He's devastated. This is why it catapults over into like him making the wish for Nikki. Nikki finds the body and like seems to be messing around with it. But Bear is fucking pissed off that Nikki's messing around with the body, even though he didn't dispose of it properly. So now they do a burial, and burial's done. And turns out that Nikki didn't necessarily like leave the cat at rest, dug it back up, and ends up making a whole meal with the cat meat that's quasi rotted.
A little fun headcanon of mine was that she also ate it too, that's why she vomited.
She threw up the way that she did.
That was like my little headcanon, because there's a lot of shit that she threw up all over her chest for her to have just thrown up for not eating. Because usually when you throw up when you don't eat, you're just throwing up like, I'm not gonna get into it.
It's not like acid usually.
Yeah, it's gross. But anyways, going back to this, he's also a piece of shit because he took the pills and he was right before Nikki made a wish. He was about to puke up the pills because he still couldn't go through with it. He still couldn't give his own life up to save his
save Nikki. Yeah, exactly. But right before he threw up, Nikki broke her willow piece, and it was the wish that she made with that essentially Bear made with Nikki, and it was, I want Bear to love me as much as I do. So Bear comes out, and it's almost like a very euphoric moment between the two of them. You see it being very mutual, but obviously Bear swallowed the pills. He doesn't have much time left. And while they're kind of like enjoying themselves for the two of them, genuinely, not Bear the way that he was in the twisted form in the beginning of the film. No, it seems consensual at this point. He starts foaming at the mouth, seizing up and dying. And you see Nikki kind of panic and freak out and start crying. And one thing leads to another, switch turns back on, and it's regular Nikki who's screaming, petrified.
Make note of the screaming between Wish Nikki versus real Nikki.
Yeah.
That was such beautiful acting, and the switch up there.
The tone, the style, the way that she was screaming. Because you have Wish Nikki, the way that she screams is so unsettling that you're on edge the entire time. When it switches over to regular Nikki, there's a small gasp, but the scream continues, and this one's a mortified and petrified kind of scream.
Yeah.
Where bodies are left and right. Blood is everywhere. You have Bear, who I'm sure she could piece some things together that shit happened between the two of them that wasn't fully consensual.
Yeah.
And she actually shoves Bear's body off of her completely versus not even 2 seconds later, she was trying to hold on to Bear closely and try and bring him back to life altogether. So like her body language and her body control is insane throughout the entire film.
That's another reason why I feel like it wasn't a demon, that it was just some entity that was conjured up off of the wish, because I feel like a demon wouldn't go through that much trouble to love somebody like that.
Not even that, but let a body go that easily.
Yeah, let a body go that easily. And plus, this is something that Chelsea from the Dead Meat podcast brought up, which was, I think at one point James had made a comment about how Nikki was in hell. Mm-hmm. Quite literally, because we don't know where Nikki was teleporting from.
Yeah. So
he made that comment, and then Chelsea responded and said they were both in hell. And when you think about that, I kind of get what she means, because she obviously didn't mean literal fiery pits of hell. Mm-hmm. I think what she meant was, at some point you actually kind of have to feel sorry for this entity, because this entity was just trying to do what it was made to do, which was love Bear so much that it went out of its way to make the wish so Bear would reciprocate the love. Yeah. So at the end of the day, both Nickies were damned, whether it was Wish Nikki or Real Nikki, mm-hmm. and Bear was just a piece of shit to both of them. Yeah. Like quite literally a piece of shit to both of them, because there's that moment that you and I were discussing. And I'm sorry, I feel like I bring up a lot of outside sources, so I apologize on that. This is actually something Marv and I discussed, which was when they're having that first big breakdown fight where Bear's actually standing his ground a little bit more and not being so fearful of Wish Nikki. He's yelling at her right in her face, mm-hmm. screaming, "Be Nikki, like be normal. What the fuck's wrong with you? Be Nikki, be normal."
Isn't this around the time leading up to the group party?
After the party.
After the party, then.
And
oh yeah, after she bashed her head in before he went and saw Sarah. Yeah.
Right, and then you have Wish Nikki screaming, and Wish Nikki may have been like cutting back and forth with Real Nikki, but you have Nikki just responding in general, saying, "I can't." When she kept, he kept saying like, just be Nikki. Yeah. And that in and of itself is very reminiscent of very much like a piece of shit boyfriend who starts to date somebody that he really liked, but obviously didn't truly like her because what she really is not enough for him, and or he just wants to go back to how they were when they were friends. And I thought that was a very interesting take on it, which kind of backs up my point of, you really do have to feel sorry for both of them. Like, this entity was conjured up because of Bear, because of his dumbass wish, and just wanted to be loved back because it was trying to love Bear more than anything else in the fucking world. Yeah. And then same with Nikki. Nikki just had her whole entire humanity stripped from her. So, I mean, either way, great fucking movie though.
Yeah, it's definitely good. It's definitely a movie that I plan on watching again and again.
Buying it as soon as it hits either digital or physical, like immediately.
I do plan on skipping the bedroom scene though, because I'm not. I will sit there and I will let it play through, but I will watch. I will turn my head over to like look over at a corner or something, so this way you can at least get the experience the way that I did and understand.
You run to the restroom too.
Yeah, probably. Even if I don't have to go. Just so this way, like you can understand the gravity of it altogether, because I feel like you need to see it go from the restaurant scene to the bedroom scene.
It's like a hard cutaway, right?
It is, but at the same time, like the gravity of it is insane. So I do feel like this is something that like everybody has to experience at least once, but it is definitely not a scene that I plan on watching again, because while again it is digestible, it's not something that I want to sit back and watch on a continuous basis or on repeat. I am not okay with people being assaulted on screen or otherwise, even if it's just acting.
It's very hard for us to watch those type of scenes.
Yeah.
So what do you rate the movie?
9.5.
Speaking of 9.5?
9.5. So far, it is movie of the year.
So
for
you've
me.
gone up. You were at 8.5. Now you're at 9.5.
And so the more I thought about it, the more I started like pondering over it, it definitely shot up. I would say it's a 9.5. It's definitely my movie of the year for the time being. I haven't seen Backrooms. I haven't seen The Mummy. So, and obviously there's a lineup of more horror movies coming out later on in the year. However, as of right now, it is my movie of the year for 2026.
You know, I would actually be cool with you doing a complimentary episode to this with Ashley to hear her thoughts.
I just wonder how I'm going to get her on this episode because she's all the way in Georgia. But I'll figure it out with her.
Yeah, you can always just record the call. Remember, iOS does that now. So,
Ashley.
but anyways, yeah, I'm same 9.5 out of 10. I'm right there with you. It's a really good movie. I think it hit all the marks, and we're gonna be watching it again as soon as we're able to.
Yeah,
but
even if it's in theaters.
Yeah, actually, yeah, we can just walk over to the theaters.
Yeah,
watch it again. But thank you guys for tuning in as always. And if y'all haven't watched Obsession, go watch it.
Please go.
Yeah, it's
do
phenomenal.
yourself a favor.
Yeah, it is fucking phenomenal.
Even if you're not a horror movie goer, go watch it because I can say it's not the classic horror. It's definitely a deep psychological thriller that has horror elements. I think is the best way to kind of categorize it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank y'all as always, and we'll talk to y'all next time.
Bye.